There we go. We're starting over. 1 second, 2 second. Okay, everybody, I hope you're back. I don't see anybody watching yet, but I hope people join into the second video here. We had some technical difficulty, and that's too bad because we have a very special guest tonight, and you're doing a great job, Libby, on this. So, did they say it's on yet? Did your followers say they see it?
We're good. Sounds like good sound.
Is the sound on?
Yep.
Okay, good. I'm going to turn the sound up a little bit anyway, so I have the microphone a little further away. So, see, if they say they can't hear the sound, we'll just play this. That's the music for the game show, so that'll make people go away. So now it doesn't say anybody's watching, but they will. They'll have to get back on. So people, if you're watching, there we go. Abby here, up and running, good. So that's the first time that's happened since like episode 8. So we even switched providers here at the dealership to help us out. That's how much Jacksons are committed to my POA podcast. They've never even seen a POA, and they just think this is something special. Of course, they don't know other POA people, so they think I'm just this, weird guy that knows, all this stuff about POAs. I'm like, there's other people too, maybe not quite like me, but there's a whole group of fanatics out there that actually spend lots of money and go to all these shows. And so,
well, you might not be the only one, because I was sitting with some friends watching one of the warm-ups with a whole bunch of ponies, and one guy turned to me and goes, "Hey, do you know the ponies that are, do you know all the ponies?" I said, "I know all the ponies. I know their sires, and I bet I could tell you their dams as well."
There you go. I like that. See, I like that a lot. That's why you're a guest on the show. For sure, you're going to be on the game show. I won't play the music again because we might get some bad reviews, but we'll play it a lot when you're on the show. So,
all right.
Yeah. Next week, I think I got something going on, but I think we're going to do it maybe in a couple weeks. So make sure you don't. Put it on your. Do I got to talk to your manager or whatever and tell him can't work Tuesday night? Yeah, can't work on Tuesday nights because you're going to be back again. So Tracy's back. So if Tracy's back, we're good to go. So other people, I haven't seen Terry yet tonight from Iowa. He might be busy, but I haven't seen Jeremy or Julie from Kansas. But there is quite a few people watching. So, and then they can watch this all the time. Now it'll be a 2-part video. So we'll see how much they liked us in the first video if they go back and watch the second video. See, So when you got interrupted, sorry about that. Technology's good when it works, but you were talking about how special the McLaren was and how even though it was 2 o'clock in the morning and everybody was tired, and some people I do think withdrew from it, that's what I heard, but it was still a nice class, and boy, there was some nice, some of the nicest young ponies at the show was in that class, but you said that was one of your highlights.
That was probably my favorite part of the show, just watching, being a spectator. The McLaren is something that I think every POA person that has a POA doesn't necessarily even show. I just think it's just such a special class to the breed and to what people present.
Right. That's what I used to tell people, like when people would come to my place and say, "Wow, that's a great POA," and I'd say, "Well, she's all right," or something, and they'd think I was down on my stuff, and I'd be like, "Well, you need to go to the Congress, you haven't even been to a state show, but go to the Congress one, especially Halter Day, or go on Versatility. Versatility used to be a little different, but it's still great. I'm not taking anything away from it. It's still, and we're going to talk about it a little bit too, because history was made there in Versatility. But like the McLaren is one of the things that I've driven back to the show before to watch. And like when it was in Wisconsin, I would sometimes go home and then drive back later in the week to watch games or whatever, because it was only 4.5, 5 hours away to Madison if I cruised down the freeway. And then here it's only about an hour and a half, so I can go a couple different times. But the McLaren's one thing I usually tried to watch, and this year I was honored to be part of it, as far as I wrote part of I plagiarized a little bit. I took a little what Kathy Wolf, that's their daughter, what she had written over the years, and Betty herself, and then Pat Burton's been a great supporter of the McLaren Futurity over the years because he was born in Kansas, and he's still in this region. So he's a big supporter of that Futurity, and he had written some stuff, and I just kind of meshed them all together, put my own words to it. Next year we're going to try, if the screen's on like it was this year, if we have Paycom or a great sponsor like that, we're going to try to get some pictures up and maybe even some videos. I might look to you. You might be part, okay? You don't even have to be there. I might look for you. It's all pro bono. It's free,
right.
But, you can put it on your resume. I helped with the McLaren screen project.
The
So
first thing that's gonna go on there.
yeah, yeah, that's the first thing that'll go on there. That's right. That'll scroll across. But because Pat told me that they used to have pictures on there, and I didn't know that. So if I would have known that, I would have got pictures submitted. Because there is a picture of Chief Joseph S. with Kathy and with Betty holding the trophy there, and of course they're teary-eyed because it was the first one. That wasn't held at the Congress. That was at a state show in Kansas. But that thing's been, a lot of people didn't, I don't think, realize how many locations that's been held at. It was even held at the Reichert, you know.
Well, that's and my sister was actually asking that the other day. She was like, "What's the Riker?" And we had Mom and I had to talk to her and be like, "Well, the McLaren's held there, and this, and
Right.
yeah."
They sanctioned some POA shows at the Reichert, yep, and that was a big deal there for a while. A lot of people like to go there and win those jackets and different things or whatever.
Yep.
And yeah, POA has been with quite a few different things. And then they actually had it at the Futurity one year, I think, and then of course the Mid America region, because that's the region Kansas is in. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just something that I think if you're got a POA at all, I think it's something everybody should try to watch on the live stream or see or anything.
That's the point I was getting back to. Was I need to get back to is like I'd tell people, you need to go watch that and see how these POAs move. Just watch the McLaren ones, and that's junior ponies even.
Yep.
That's not a 12-year-old gelding that's been there, done it. That's junior ponies. But the whole thing Charlie was about was getting youth to stay in as adults, because back in the day, like your family hasn't seen it as much, but they basically used to kick kids out, at 18, and then a lot of them would go on and be equestrians because they'd get out of POAs. Now we kind of retain some of the families, and you're seeing 3 and 4 generation families. They had them before, but now we're having like 4 generation families that are coming back, and staying because they can show and stuff like that. So
Yep. And like my family, we've been doing POA on and off all these years, and now that we're getting back into it again, these adult classes are very helpful, because that means my mom, my sister, and I can show together on ponies that my mom raises. So
right.
It's kind of special to have these big fraternities, and if a youth beats us on any pony ever, we'll still be happy, because if these youth are on these junior ponies, that helps the breed as well, because you don't see that a lot in the other breeds.
Right.
So.
Well, I was noticing in just the announcer, when he had announced some of the names, I was thinking of your mom, because several of those were ones she started or was writing herself, like Call Out My Name, and what's a couple others. There, of course, the berries, the berry sweets, but Berry Sweet Endeavor and stuff. But Call Out My Name, what's one of the other ones I'm trying to think of that she wrote?
Well, so my mom showed Call Out My Name the last couple of years, and she got second in the McLaren and then 6th in the Rebecca Trout, and that was, my mom was in tears, obviously.
Right.
And then my sister showed just in the McLaren, and, that's a pony that my sister did most, if not all of the work on, and she got 5th. And, it's that kind of stuff where it's just full circle, your hard work pays off, you're a DIY amateur or youth. I think it's something super special to POAs that you don't necessarily see in the quarter horses, because it takes more money, and so people put their money towards trainers and stuff. So it's I think something that POA needs to really grasp onto is this DIY, because a lot of those ponies in there were DIY non-pros and DIY youth. So
right, that's cool. And a lot of that the history of that futurity has been won by professional trainers, people that grew up in POAs and stayed in POAs, people that came back, showed as, and then they came back as alumni, and maybe wasn't a professional trainer, but they came back. It's been won by youth, that we're currently showing as youth. So that's one of the things that makes it so special too. So yeah, talking about some of the other breeds, on July 4th, the day before the board of director meeting, the POA meeting, I had the day off. I had 2 days off in a row, which is rare in my business. So I went to the National App Show in Oklahoma City, because where I'm at, it's a hotbed of, you have Oklahoma City and Tulsa. And if you have the time, you can go to a lot of horse events. I just don't get away that often. But I went, and it was just the colts, the stallions, and it was non-pros. And then I got to see a couple cool pleasure classes, which were fun to watch. But I was kind of disappointed, because the pro trainer would sit in the stands kind of by me or wherever his client was, and then the client would lead in the horse, and then as soon as he got out, somebody else would grab the horse. and take it. And I'm like, he's the non-pro. He's not the trainer, you know? And so then like somebody else would go put the blanket on or the cool, whatever, you know? And then he'd go and grab another horse. But even if he wasn't showing in the next class, somebody else would grab it immediately at the gate. And I'm like, boy, they didn't grow up in POAs, you know? I bet that guy's not picking his own stalls out, you know?
I highly doubt it.
Right. And he wasn't getting paid. He was the non-pro, you know, so it's a little different, you know. And I'm not bashing the Appaloosas or anything. I love all those breeds. So stock horses in particular is what I grew up loving. So, and POA is a stock pony is all it is, you know. There's some of these POAs out here that are well-bred quarter horses. You know, I tell people that. I'm like, some of these these POAs are better bred than some quarter horses. You know, they just have a little pony in them. So
even wise, like I would put up a lot of our ponies that made the top 5 in any class, and I'd put them against some of the best quarter horses just because they're usually the best, with their disposition and
right.
And just something special about these ponies that I don't. It's hard to tell people, because they think pony and they go, ooh, you know?
Ooh, choppy, yeah. But when Pleasure got so slow, I mean, that didn't hurt us any, because then we had all the quarter horse blood in already. And then a lot of Pleasure horses started getting shorter. I know there's lines that are tall, but the impulse lines and some of those were kind of short. So, that helped the POA too. And then, so POA moving slow, we have shorter legs. Well, we move slow anyway, and they haven't been choppy for decades. You still might find a little 48-inch choppy pony, but, you're going to find some quarter horses that they don't want to brag about in Amarillo either. That's not the best looking. So, I think you're right there. The tops of our breed is good as, and it's just, it seems more fun to show in POAs. It just seems like a lighter atmosphere. And
that's, like that thing too. I try to get as many of the like daily activities in my videos as well, with the t-shirt coloring contest, the sidewalk chalk contest. Some of these bigger shows, the Quarter Horse Congress, they'll have some of that kind of stuff. But
right.
When it's a breed focused around youth, every single day we'll have something, and the kids look forward to it. And it's something that I think is a good family environment. So whether you're a grandma or just a mom just bringing their 1 or 2 kids, it's something that the whole family can do. And these big quarter horse shows, usually you're dedicated to like one kid showing one horse.
Right. And like one of our viewers just said, this Melissa Andring person just said, she said, and it's more affordable. Well, of course, that's your mom. But yes, it is way more affordable. Studies have been done. Even this year, people have done it. But, thorough studies have been done over the years by different members of the board and the club and stuff, showing the comparisons to, what, especially going after points and stuff, and then our national show. And like I say, at that national app show I went to, there was 2 in some of the classes, 3, 4. I didn't see a big full class in the non-pro colts, and stallions. Now that pleasure class I watched had like 20 in it, but so did some of our pleasure classes,
Right. So. Somebody I saw commented about how, I think it was like our yearling colts only had 6, and we had to turn around and be like, it was just the year of the fillies, because we had 20 in yearling fillies this year.
Right, and that was a deep pin. It just wasn't numbers. That class was tough to judge. There was a couple top ones, but it was a deep pin. And
it was very nice.
Right, very nice. And then we had, the yearling colts wasn't very good, but look at the weanling colts. And then that's a segue into, we had a weanling colt go grand, a weanling filly too, but a weanling colt go grand, that's only the second time ever. And, there was 3 leopards in that class that were really tough, and the whole class was nice, all 6 of them. And because those colts can change so much, you can take the last place colt at the Congress and it can grow up to be a supreme champion. What I mean? It's just, it's so early, and, some of them might not be body clipped or whatever. They might have, I know one colt was weaned to go to the show, and I'm like, ooh, that's, you got to be careful because it gets so hot. But luckily it wasn't that hot in the first part of the week. So.
I will just, round of applause to those people that brought any weanlings, filly, colt, because all of those babies were well shown, they well conditioned, and they were handled well, because I don't know if I want to show any of my mom's weanlings right now. They're a little bit unhandleable right now.
I seen you guys. She was just breaking them, halter break. I said I need to call Melissa and tell her, man, ours was broke at 2-3 days old. By the time they were a month old, you could grab them by the top of the neck and just lead them anywhere without a halter or rope. Now I'm not saying a solid one didn't slip through once in a while, like a solid colt or something. Which. With Kiddo, we didn't have that many of them, but over the years, if we had a solid, maybe them didn't get handled every day, but we broke them right away.
That's the one nice thing about these POAs too is, whether you want to handle a 14-hand weanling Appaloosa or a 48-inch POA, that's your choice. But I feel like the 48-inch POA weanling is going to be a little bit easier to handle and
Right, for sure. And their attitudes are just better usually anyway, so.
Exactly, yep.
Yeah. So we mentioned the weanling colt one, and then the weanling filly. That was a shocker for sure. She was a beautiful filly, but she was going up against some of her half siblings even. The 2-year-old was a JBJ's that won, and a Kiss the Girls. So JBJ's Lollipop, Kisses, I think's her name, or Lollipop Kiss. Jackie Guthrie. Yeah.
It was just incredible to see, so much history between the McLaren and the weanlings and stuff. It was a very special Congress to be a part of.
Right, and then so she's the only baby filly ever to win Grand. I mean, it hasn't even come close. There hasn't been a reserve or anything. There was a couple weanling colts go reserve. This is some old history for you. 79 and 82, there was 2 weanling colts go reserve, and then of course SLS Awesome All Night a few years ago. What was it, 18 or 19? He went Grand as a baby, and then he came back as a yearling and went Grand. But so this was the second weanling colt to do it, but first filly by far to ever go that far. And then the Grand Champion Gilding had been a Grand Champion stallion, and that had never happened before, which I'm kind of surprised that had never happened, because some people keep their Gildings as in this breed to get points. They keep them as colts because we don't have that many stallions showing anymore. They did years ago. They used to have a full class, 8, 9, 10 in the age stallions, because kids were riding them in classes. But now you don't have that many. But take another look, from the Janelle Burton program down there, and I don't know all the connections with him. I apologize, but I know he's in Oklahoma. Gilding, very beautiful red and white horse. He's actually a full brother to Third Day, who showed at the show and did a good job with the bigs.
Out of Petra.
Yep, out of Petra, that's right. And Doc's Rough and Zip, right?
Yep.
See, your pedigrees. That's why I like you a lot. Melissa did a good job.
I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's good. So between me from the old days and now you keeping up with the new stuff. But yeah, he won way back in 16. So now you got full brothers that were both Grand Champion Gildings, and that's kind of cool. You had a Sheldack mare there that was a hardship POA, an Appaloosa mare. I think she was one of the last daughters of Imagine It. Sheldak's just sold out this year, and that was, I think, their first win as a POA breeder, which is kind of funny too, because people have bought their stuff over the years. You probably heard of them being in Minnesota. They were in Sheldon, North Dakota. Dave and Kim Utke. We used to haul a lot of babies for them when we had our transport business over 10 years. We'd haul 20 or more babies a year usually for them to different customers for them. And so I got to know them pretty well. So yeah, that mare that won the large mares was from their program. And then Box of Chocolates won the McLaren Futurity for the 3rd time in a row. That's something pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and her mother's a really good mare. She's in Wisconsin, and of course her sire is took the POA world by storm. But and then we slip on later in the week. Unfortunately, I wasn't there to see it, but. Maddie Dolan won Versatility again for the 15th time. No, the 5th time. So that's a lot of times when you figure that's 18 and under. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
5 times to win that. And she was one of the few kids to win it as in the middle age group too, way back when. When it was 9 through, I don't know if it was 9 through 12 when she won it, or if it was, now it's changed, of course. But
yeah, so she won it first for the first 3 years on Lily LaBelle, and then she came back and she's won it now twice on Miss Silver Sapphire, a Silph Kid daughter,
The
and
Silver
I think
Kid daughter, yep.
another year out Miss Silver Sapphire, so then she could make it 3-3 with a total of 6 versatility.
Wow. Yeah, that's something else. And I don't know how old Maddie is. She's got a couple years left, right?
Yeah, I believe so. I'm not exactly 100% sure, but
Right.
at least one.
I was afraid we'd lose her to horses, so I hope she sticks around because I know she's a great equestrian kid, and she's done something no one's done. Of course, Lily LaBelle is from Spencer's program in Oklahoma, so we gave the Silver Kid props. We got to give their program some props. So
Yeah.
on Lily
I'll
LaBelle.
apologize.
No, you don't have to apologize. You probably know her pedigree too, so.
A little bit.
A little bit, yeah, yeah. So what's we covered the McLaren futurity in depth. So what's some of the other things that was cool? Like, did you stick around for the games?
I actually did not, and I feel really bad, but we had to come back because I had work that Saturday. So.
Oh, okay. You feel
But-
bad you had to drive 11 hours back home or whatever it was? And,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I'll give all the credit to Tim. I did not drive.
Oh, okay. That's good. Tim drove, huh? So,
Tim drove. He's the driver
good.
of the family.
he's a
but,
good
yeah.
guy. That's good. We got to give him his credit too, so.
All the dads out there, I'm giving you a shout out for all your driving.
All the show dads, yeah. It's funny. It used to be just like stage moms, in Hollywood, in horse business. You always said show moms. Well, nowadays a lot of the show moms are showing again, so it's the show dads. They're
Yep.
the horse holders and the get her ready people, and yeah. So that's kind of funny.
But
So-
yeah, between the McLaren, the Rebecca Trout, and versatility, I just think those 3 events are something that are super special, and usually some historical event happens at the Congress that's super special to the breed, and I just encourage anybody to watch or keep an ear on it because history happens regularly, and it's really cool to watch it unfold before your eyes. So
Right, it is. And this was, nobody really talked about it much, but in my calculations, if you take 1959 and then all the way up, this was the 65th International. So no one put that on a poster or anything, but unless I calculated wrong.
and I'll make sure to make a poster that says 70 on it.
There you go, 70. That's my favorite number. So, one of them, because that was my football number. My brother, who played football, he was 8 years older than me. Both my brothers played, but my one brother, that was his number, and then he passed away. And so then I took his number, and I played all the way through 4th grade, all the way through senior in high school wearing that number. So 70 is an important number to me. So yeah, we'll make a big poster. So you'll be a famous video person, then you might not even be taking my calls. So
Oh, of course I will, Ken.
you won't be at the clinic anymore or wherever you're at. So
I'll
hopefully-
still be at the clinic.
yeah. Well, that's one of the best places in America, so you're doing all right there. So you grew up in southeastern Minnesota, right?
I did, yeah, pretty close to the border, and then when my mom remarried, we moved up towards Rochester area.
Okay. And that was a hotbed for POAs. I wish you could have been around when that was even a little before my time. But when we got in 1982, Rochester was booming. It had a lot of POA families. It was one of those towns. A lot of breeders, and Bud Campbell helped a lot of that. But you had Paul Passy and just a whole bunch of families, and that was in the Rochester area. So a lot of black and white ponies running around that area.
It's kind of cool because I was reading your spots included that you so graciously signed for me when I was young, and I was reading that, and there's a little blurb in there about the Campbell farm being on that intersection between 52 and 63 right in Rochester where there's a Menard.
Right.
Can't drive by that every single day, and it blows my mind that there was a POA farm there.
Yeah, and it was named all the CA POAs, which your mare, I think, your kiddo mare was out of a CA's mare, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
Yeah. Yeah. So that was Crossroads Acres because the 2 crossroads there, that's what he named it. And he had a little pasture, and Paul would register the colts in his name and the fillies in his wife's name, Joanne. And Joanne got those babies to stand like statues. And them and the Lewises and the Campbells, they all had rivalries for the Minnesota Futurity. That was a tough futurity back in the day. And people like Jackie Guthrie and stuff, they'll know what I'm talking about because they were there and watched it. And anyway, yeah, that is a Menards. Now you go by that every day, huh?
I
Well,
do. I do.
yeah, there was a lot of C8. There's been grand champions and futurity champions and all kinds of stuff bred right there, born right on that grass that's now asphalt and concrete.
Minnesota Futurity. If you're looking to bring your young horses out, my mom is actually kickstarting the Minnesota Futurity back up this year.
That's cool.
So if you're around Labor Day weekend in the area in Winona, we'll be having the Minnesota Futurity.
In Winona, that's cool. That's the first
Yeah.
place I ever went to a POA show, not at that big equestrian center, but at a farm there. That was 1983 was our first POA show. We didn't have a POA there, but we already owned POAs. And then I won the Minnesota Futurity in 86 with Ruby Tough Dots, and it was a big tough class too. There was 6 or 7 in there. Poco Pixie was in there, and there Campbell's, 2 Campbells were in there. I believe Campbell's Birdie was one of them, and then Miss Flirt, who became the mother of Zippo. And it was a big class, a couple Markedots. And then I was honored to kickstart the Futurity. It had kind of died down in the early 90s. And in 94, I took it over, and I just started calling people because we made it a national Futurity, you know, where people out of state could enter. So I had Gene Carr, Ray Peets, Doc Nemers, a lot of my friends back then enter their mares. And it was only $5 a piece, so they would enter like 10 mares. And
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah, and we had like 15, one year we had like 15 colts and 16 fillies show up, and I was like, wow, you know, this is cool. We had more than the Midwest did almost, so, or we did in some points. So, and we had it at Cannon Falls for 3 or 4 years in a row there at Simon's. So you probably showed there.
Yep.
Yeah, see, you're kind of in horse country for Minnesota. I mean, down south. Where I was in central Minnesota, it was just kind of, you know, it was hard to even find good shavings. You know, it was more dairy country. We found good hay, good alfalfa hay, because all the dairy farms. But horse country was, even though Bo's my daddy was about 14 miles from where I grew up, he was a famous quarter horse back in the day in Minnesota. So he's still in some pedigrees.
But yeah, I encourage anybody, if you know, southeast Minnesota, northeast Wisconsin, western or northeast Iowa, I should say, western Wisconsin. It's a POA hotbed.
It's a POA hotbed, yeah. And that you need to support that Futurity because your mom's doing a good job doing that. So people need to go to that, and that's a good place to show. So
Might be making more content. So if you want to get some pictures of your ponies, I might be there.
yeah, see, you might be there because already Tracy said I want Libby to video our family at Futurity. Well, you're not going to the Futurity, are you?
I am not. I
Okay,
work.
you are.
I will be there. Priority PTO. Going to put it in. I will be there next year.
That's what your mom told me. She said, because I told her, I said, we're going to have more time to talk at the Futurity this year because I'm going to because we never have time to talk at the show. We have a quick hug and then that's it. We don't even get to talk. And so we talk more on Messenger than we do in person. And
Yeah.
so I said, oh, the Futurity will get to sit around and talk. And she's like, oh, we're not going to the Futurity this year. And I'm like, what? In capital letters. I'm like, I text or type to her. And, well, that's fine.
We're going to make it a priority now that Sophie's going to be aged out, and we're going to have all these young ones. You know, the Futurity is going to be kind of on our forefront. So.
Right. That'll be cool. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
hopefully I'll be at the Futurity the next 3 years or so for meetings anyway, so on the board of directors. So that's why I'm going this year. Plus, I miss seeing the babies. I showed in that a lot too in the Futurity, and I never did win it. It's tough to win. You know, I placed with some of mine. I showed for other people that placed pretty high. One time, one judge put me second with one of Jackie Guthrie's babies, and I don't think the other 2 judges used me, but I still ended up like 6th. And then one time, one of my colts, Pikachu, that the Heinrichses from Cannon Falls had for years, he had like a 8th and a 9th or a 9th and a 10th, something like that, but there was like 50 some in there, and he didn't place. And I'm like,
Oh my-
yeah. And one colt that placed 8th ended up getting 10th, and I'm like, wait a minute, I scored on 2 cards, and one guy scored just 1 ahead of me, but only on 1 card. How does that? But you know, things like that happens.
First time.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we had to do a 2-part show. You're such a good guest. We had to do 2 shows in one night. But this time we've talked for almost half an hour, so I think we've done a good job. And Tracy says she wants to hire you, so you may want to contact Tracy Keene after the show. She's on
Oh, I
Facebook.
love her in Florida.
Yeah, yeah. Tell her to pay for your way to Florida, and you'll video all kinds of those Weedo babies down there. So before
Yeah.
she sells them in an embryo, pretty much. So I don't know why she needs videos, but no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Tracy. We're good friends. We just, rip on each other sometimes. Not really, but I enjoyed sitting with her at the show. Some of my good buddies from Iowa weren't at the show this year. So, but Jeremy and Julie was there. Of course, Pat Burton's a good friend of mine. Mike Gardner, it was good seeing him, and I met some new people this year, new to me. Some people like you. You're not new to POAs, but we got to meet at 2:00 at a POA
Yep.
show. So looking at a trophy, there was 30 some names on that trophy, so that was pretty cool. So
Yeah. The last time I saw it was when it came back to the area when Dutch Daytona won it. So
okay,
it's games since then.
it was cool to see Dutch Daytona at the show.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, so he's a half brother to the Gelding I showed, and, they were born the same year. So it's
Okay.
super cool to still going out and showing and doing so well.
Right. Okay,
So,
let's
yeah.
see what your mom's saying again. My family says we wouldn't tease you if you didn't love you. Oh, yeah, or something like that. That's right. That's right. So, all right. Well, you're going to come back in a couple weeks and be a contestant on the game show?
I guess you convinced me, Ken.
I'll try to. Well, I think, I might have to make it tougher than I thought because you're knowing these pedigrees. So, I was going to stick to like RY major equity and silver kid questions, but I think I might have to throw in a few different questions. So,
Like
yeah.
I said, 5 to now, I got it nailed, Ken.
Yeah, so I'll just pull out the magazines from '05 and I won't look at the ones earlier than that. So,
I'll have to start studying up.
yep, study up. So, well, that'll probably be in a couple weeks. So, I think you were a good guest tonight. So, I'll have to get another guest too because it's nice to have two contestants, even if you run the table. Last time, my first show, Cara from Wisconsin and Jackie from Wisconsin. What is it with that part of the country? You guys are all trivia buffs. I need somebody from, Tracy don't want to go on there and I know Tracy's a great historian, but I could make a tough panel for Tracy and she knows it. But, I need some other people to get on there too. Maybe we can get somebody from the West or the East or something. But all right, you're invited back. Tell your mom she can help you a little bit too. Maybe she don't. Maybe you know more than your mom. No, I don't know. But
I would like to think so, but she's going to argue with me on that.
I did that on purpose. Because I really didn't put you on the spot tonight. Just asking you what your favorite part of the show was, and wasn't really a tough question. So, all right, Libby. Well, thanks for all you do for POAs. The people that don't know who you are, hopefully they know who you are now. Because I know POAs are kind of pockets. Sometimes people in the regions and stuff, and if you can't go to the big shows every year, sometimes people don't know everyone. Even though we are a little pond, you know what I mean? It is regional and stuff, so it's cool to do things like this and let people know who's all out there promoting POAs and promoting the breed, and you're one of those people. So, and you're young. You're a very young person doing it, so that's cool. So,
Yeah.
so
All right.
all right. Well, brush up, get your magazines out, tell your mom to make some flashcards. And
All right.
no, I'm just kidding. But I may be hitting you up about this in a couple weeks.
Sounds good.
Okay, thanks a lot, Libby.
Yep, thank you.
Yep, bye. All right, that was my special guest tonight, Liberty Rose. As you've seen the Liberty Rose Chronicles, that was a great thing. Like Tracy said, we almost need to pay her to do something like that because that's something that other breeds utilize. And that's what we're kind of missing out in POA. Even with like a CEO and stuff, we need somebody that really, pushes POAs, and and this is a person that has a job, and does other things, but just out of the love for POAs, kind of like what I do with this podcast, just showing off the breed and showing off the people that promote this breed and are just there having fun, trying to win trophies and teach their kids lessons or whatever, and having fun as a family. So that was cool. I hope she comes back in a couple weeks. So we're going to be dark next week. These summer months, it's kind of tough to do a show every week. We would have did one last week, but we actually did have technical difficulties. We still have kind of a lag in the camera, and it's driving Shane Jackson nuts. That's why I put my hands up like that, because he's kind of a perfectionist when it comes to tech and stuff like this. So he's a graduate OSU in journalism and stuff. stuff, and so he's really into the media and the equipment and everything. If you guys could see all the cords in here, some people, POA people have, but all the technology he's got in here. I got a Stream Deck and a Rodecaster over here with all these sounds like this one.
Come join the family.
And then of course our music next in 2 weeks when Libby joins us again. So if you want to join Libby in 2 weeks for Who Wants to Be a POA'er, we're going to have fun and I'll have some questions. Go back and watch that show, that episode where Cara from Wisconsin and Jackie from Wisconsin were the two contestants. They both did a great job. So there's no shame if you, I'm not going to let you get the first couple questions wrong. You have 4 lifelines, and then I'll save you a few times even too, just to make it fun. So, all right, I want to thank Libby again. Like somebody said, she did a great job, was a very good guest. People like that and a young lady like that makes me proud of the future, that it's going to be a bright future. Melissa did a great job raising her 2 girls, and she did it in POAs. So thank you everybody for watching this show, and tune in 2 weeks. Hopefully, if the air conditioner's working and Facebook's working, we'll be back here in 2 weeks. Please call me if you want to be a contestant, or text me, send me an email, whatever. Just let me know, and because I do need some more contestants for the game show. It'll be fun. I won't embarrass you, I promise. So thank you, Kent and Jackson's Auto family, for doing this podcast. Thank you everybody for watching this. Get Dave Spencer on the show. Well, if he wants to be on here, he can be on here on the game show. That's for sure. So there's Terry. Terry finally made a comment. I thought maybe I lost you tonight. So he's watched pretty much every show since the beginning. Terry has, my good friend up in Iowa. So all right, guys. See you in a couple weeks. Enjoy the music. Thank you for watching another episode of Black and Beyond.